Trouble's what you're in. Trouble you in that dress that's as black as my heart on this train. Trouble's what you're in. Trouble you with those lips that's as red as the blood in my veins. Trouble, you know where. Trouble, soft target. Trouble's what you're in. Trouble you, 'cause it's a long way to London Bridge and them heels big.
It's funny.
Trouble's what you're in.
Right before 2022 ended.
Trouble you.
Got soul swapped, and when I look up his Twitch name, it says Big Brother Gone. With that being said, I remember my brother looking up at me, and he was placing an ultraviolet reality and saying, "Raven, I'm so happy to see you here," and hoping I would rescue him. I'm going to play 125 hertz today to try to, get them out of that situation, get them help, because I kept seeing Samantha Murthy pulling him into her hell realm in that timeline and all sorts of... I was even told by his highest self, yeah, he got taken out of his body, he got killed by them evil-ass people. So that's just sobering. And I got this wetback bitch. I feel it's designed to block spiritual, help in many ways, and get me to foment hatred towards those people. Like I said, I've been wanting to say something about what's coming with them ice raids. That shit don't feel like, I don't feel like, this all feels surreal. It don't feel like my reality. I'm not a delusional person. I'm going to say this right now. In my reality, people were transcending, looking at, people were starting to interface with the soul and understand things on a deeper level like me. We had the black sun, which is the astral and spirit sun, meaning we were ascending. What's right here in reflection? Moving towards, a very spiritually based Kardashev level type society. And we were moving towards that, and then I got taken out. And that's very disheartening. Extremely disheartening.
Sorry about that call dropped. But
They tried
I swear
removing
I
Dan
just saw
Sanity
him.
from that timeline, who was the only one that opened up the
Well,
door
I'm
because I'm
almost
black.
home now, baby, so I'm
He
going
wanted
to
to help
talk to
me
you
out.
maybe
With
tomorrow
real
or the day
self-esteem.
after, yeah?
Just like
All
with
right.
Pazuzu,
Take care,
I
Mama.
heard two people from my
All
house that was
right,
in that
uh-huh.
timeline
Bye.
got him imprisoned.
Bye.
And that's my boy. You can use 1715 hertz, 1714 hertz to pull somebody back, 295 hertz, 295
Yeah,
come down to
Raven.
695 hertz.
Trying to take
Get
a nap.
somebody
I have
back.
to go to work tonight.
Okay. How you been?
I've been okay. How you
3002
been?
hertz is very effective. It's accurate. But 295 hertz is good. 125 hertz is very good as well. But
Yep.
I'm going to work today on
That's
that. I was able to
right.
get an entity attachment back.
That's
That's
why
how
people
severe that
work,
red bag
and
bitch
that's
is. She
why
tore
you
out
have to pay
an
bills,
entity
and
attachment to tie me to
that's
my
why
parents. I felt
squares
it.
like you and your daddy
I don't even
still
know if I
work.
got my right soul consciousness body parts back. And that's like blocked me from getting in. That's how you know I ain't on no drugs. Um she keep trying to take over my higher self, remove her, remove my connection to my God self using her dad who was a rapist, Raul Vargas the third, Raul Vargas. Archangel Michael's name is Raul Vargas the third. I hear that too. Poor guy. And it's just, I know that shit was soul swapping. It's true. I saw it through my third eye right after it happened. Santa Monica even looked different. The parts that I was meandering in that night when I was drunk. Saw Hedgefield that looked different. Something ain't right. Spirits telling me, I had a higher self telling me. I know something going on. I ain't in my body. And I'm being brought to the brink of death with this Maria Blanco. At that shop, they supposed to be open tomorrow, 8704 Broadway. By 87 in Broadway. I've seen entity attachments of this guy attacking, I think it's Montez or something, Montevidez. I heard Montero, but I think it's Montez because that works to, shut him down. I heard he sexually assaulted an 11-year-old girl. It's something about keeping me out, and I felt it was to keep me from getting back into the world of the living. I didn't feel alive without it. Keeping me out some timelines going back to May the 1st, 2024. So they could make money and steal our black magic just like I saw years ago here. I feel like with all of this, poor pitiful fucking person. Me and my family, just ordinary people, caught in the crosshairs of just some evil conspiracies that seem unbelievable but are real. A couple of days ago, I keep hearing motherfuckers proselytizing. Oh, your future self, you're supposed to be born in Cajun country, red hair and the road trim. I saw a red haired girl walking down there. I did an article about that years ago. It was a reference to a red haired girl. And she disappeared. And she had like ether, smoke following right behind her, trailing her. So something ain't right. Gotta get back in my body in that timeline before I die. Anyways, with that being said, when I saw that white bitch, that shit's real. We got the Cane of Swords. About black on the back. That was a white bitch. I saw a white bitch. What you put in there? And kept. I didn't see any of my family. They all in hell and torment in that timeline, and I see it. And they kept getting cut up, and her boasting, I'm getting money from the Illuminati. That Maria Blanco. Terra Blanco. Talavera is really Blanco. So in the obstacle position, we got the King of Swords. And I feel like there's somebody that's ignorant, like, let me urge, who's acting as an authority over you, that's trying to keep you blocked from conquering, accomplishing something. Two of Swords. I feel that there's a very pivotal situation where you can make the right decision and go in a certain direction. But, you got success and failure, straight absolutes. The Hangman is the future position. The other one was your present. And I feel like you're going towards triumph, but you're taking a big risk. Subconscious, Six of Swords. You want to be in a better place selflessly. Nine of Cups is the goal. It's to reach happiness. To me, it ain't. It's just, I'm going to say something right now. I know the truths. The afterlife, as they call it. When you're no longer corporal, don't faze me. I know a lot about, frequency, vibration, energy. That doesn't bother me. It's like when I hired, my parents were sobbing when my brother Bryan died. That doesn't bother me. It's where you go when you die that bothers me. And I paid, I kept feeling my brother Bryan here was in a bad place. So I played a shaman named Shakti to rescue him. And she found him, I think. That bald-headed entity I keep showing you ruled it. Very fucked up hell realm. And ironically, because that's who I'm supposed to be the sacrifice for, she was getting help from Hecate. And the Illuminati trying to get advantage, cover it. So that shit's real. I'm going to play it for you at the end. Advice card, we got the 7 of Wands. And I see y'all moving in a very positive direction. That's the advice card. Never give up like I did. I kept playing 125 hertz all last night. 1185 hertz transmutes, by the way. 156 hertz frees you from spirit jars. 1150 hertz helps you find hard to, find places. 115 hertz, both of them put you back together and helps you get shit back. 10 of Pentacles we got here. All right, 10 of Pentacles. That's the energy that surrounds you. I feel like other people, I saw it in a dream last night. It's told me, my dad represented the security guard wearing his blue that he did when on the New Orleans Police Department. To help. I had some black nigga bitches. I think it's these niggas here. These mayates. Try to take my ability to produce frequency or something, through that wetback Maria Blanco. And I was able to, thankfully, the road spirits to get it back. And they've been trying to get rid of them. They were doing something where they fucked with. I don't get it. Used a lot of them in Kemet. That painting applies to some with the palm trees, some weird shit. Fuck with them. Try to get rid of them. My higher self was able to disentangle that. I gotta get on my shit. Found that time I wanted people to sacrifice me with Madonna. I've been wanting to write an article about her using some kids in the ritual. Black girl.
It's like I would film things like that. I would encourage like everybody, all different types of sexual. But there is that thing where it's like a lot of people misunderstand me with S&M and they think it's super. And I have to like explain to people how. Like, where it's more like you're tied down because you need to, like, be able to, like, have somebody hold you down and keep you still, or, like, if you fight something down, or, like, be able to heal once you're beaten, like, or something. It's like it comes from that real place of, like, as opposed to being accessories or something. It's like with tattoos and things. Like I've always gotten them. There's like that time where everybody's like, "Oh, I have tattoos," and after a while, you're like, you can explain them and they can mean things. It's just comes from that real life. Yeah, I don't know. I only saw that film she brought over that night. People were like darker. Like
Anyways, with that being said, I heard that they stole from me and I was able to get some of my shit back. Those are the ones that's under Legua, Elizondo Salazar. We got, given a raw deal. And I keep getting fucked with every time I mention his name. Try to remember what was it. I remember I was at USC or something. I was at the school. Pastor would be Harvard, and I heard Mike Hernandez stole that in that timeline. There's so much spiritual work. I got to put myself back together, get that shit, rescue my parents, and ain't no joke from all this evil ass inequitable shit. With that being said, not too long after, I had a dream, an astral vision of waiting for a train, and somebody was holding me back saying that's not the right train, wait for the one that's underground or something that's going to take you to the right place downtown or something like that. And I saw people working under the train boards. Kind of reminds me of an astral vision I had of Vietnamese past life ancestors, it turned out, that were underground, that were trying to pull me in, and I felt like a sneaky evil energy about it. Turns out they were roach attachments trying to eat my ass. Kind of look like how the ancient Sumerians and Mesopotamians look like, because like I said before yesterday, they're not from this reality. With that being said, something needs to be done about this Maria Tavares. I want to put a lot of shit about, people on my blog, kid who was with Balenciaga, who got turned into a mannequin here, heard he got placed in the hell realm. I was going somewhere with that. Oh yeah, them nigga bitches. It's a lot of evil shit that's feeding off of me. It's a lot of evil ass. It's soul ties being created with people who ain't got your best interests at heart, entities that ain't got your best interests at heart, so that shit's gotta end. I heard those girls in that August 22nd, 2022 timeline are worth a lot of money. They started, their timeline started with the Getty Museum, Guggenheim Museum actually, worth a lot of money. They started a clothing line called No Say So, and got my ass whipped by him one night, and shit you think when you're growing up, you taught values, you do this, you do that. I can't believe I'm getting, unfairly shafted here and getting the short end of the deal karmically when I'm not an evil person. I haven't raped anybody, murdered anybody. Same thing with my parents. None of this shit should be going on. And I'm getting all this shit and being fed off by all the evil motherfuckers that benefited off of me as a sacrifice and set it up, and I'm just like the innocent mouse hamster on the treadmill wondering what the fuck is going on, man. I can't even get, like, I went to them people for a fair tarot reading. I can't even get a fair tarot reading, but I'm gonna have to nip that one in the butt before shit gets bad with that. I don't want none of this. I don't want to be a sacrifice. I had my higher self trying to change that, in the middle of the night. Her in Anubis, or Ra. It's all fucked up. It's all fucked up. Also, I had Bryan's family or something fuck up my consciousness. I do bad shit. But I think it was the Alex Nascimento. I had that Maria Tavares almost change my whole consciousness. It's like a fight for my life every night. You know, shit you should take for granted. You know, I wish my higher self would have been proactive and done something about this evil shit from the get-go. But I had motherfuckers. It was a wetback. It placed on me as a curse. Or Pacific Palisades. It's just starting off timeline. You know, I'm hearing about in that timeline, all these people are millionaires and thriving off of me, but there was more I wanted to say. I don't like that shit being at the bottom of the run and having to beg for help and not being able to get it and just being treated unfairly. You know, I even had that shaman I'm going to have y'all here say, you know, you get treated and judged unfairly for no fucking reason. That was because of Baron Samity's influence in part, large part. Five of Swords is your fears and your hopes card, and I feel that you're going in a very good direction, very positive direction. Outcome 2 of Wands. And it's a very hard choice you may have to make. It's more than just getting evil shit off, man. It's dealing with a reality that's incomprehensible to most people. Soul swapping. Seeing my pitiful dad in the astral realm powerless. There was another... I heard it connoted to Lil Wayne, some little nigga that appeared. You know, I remember having the astral vision of me in a recording studio. It started where I was in a mansion with a light complexion black lady who was wearing a chef's hat and all of that. Then it showed me in an area, a student recording studio where I had guys feeling up on me, Lil Wayne. I saw Birdman, so this shit is true. And then I saw my dad stuck in the roach room as a sacrifice, so something ain't right. That's why I never made no deal, and people at least came to me to make a deal that Alex not seen me enter, but he did not meant it. Something else I wanted to say. Hopefully I remember. But anyways, here's the Psychopomp session.
This is a recording of a shamanic Psychopomp session for Bryan Napoleon Williams, who is the brother of Raven Williams and deceased of suicide. I began the session by going to my healing temple, my spiritual healing temple, and there I met the goddess Hecate. And she said to me, what's it this time? What's the trouble this time? And I explained to her, I said to her, there is a woman called Raven Williams and her brother committed suicide. And Raven believes that evil entities drove him to this suicide. And she wants me to help him and help his spirit move on. Then Hecate, from her belt, took this little pouch that has some divination stones and bones in it, and she threw the bones for divination, and she said yes, he's indeed earthbound. And then she threw it again, and she said he's in big trouble. Then I asked, can he be helped? And she threw the bones again, and she said yes, but it will be difficult. Then I asked her to take me there, and then she opened a portal. We passed through, and we got into a kind of the dark demonic underworld. I recognized it because I've been to this place before, and so it's basically a demonic realm, or you could call it a lower astral. You could call it one of the seven hells. There are different regions of the lower astral. The deeper you go, the worse things get. And then we heard footsteps, and we quickly hid in a passageway. This was like a large cavern system, and it had many side passages, and it was kind of dimly lit, but I could see. And then we heard footsteps, and we backed into the side passage. And then a lot of dark beings came by, stomping their feet. They seemed like soldiers, like an army, and they were carrying spears, and they had armors on. Made a lot of noise. I was glad that they didn't see us. And then from that side passage that we had backed into, at the back of it, there was a tunnel, and Hecate told me to follow her. We went down that tunnel, and we came to an area. There were a lot of holding cells, like prison cells, one next to the other, with metal bars, doors of metal bars in the front. Very similar to a human prison, but kind of like in a dark dungeon. And in there were humans and other beings that were trapped there. And there was a lot of howling and crying and screaming. It was kind of noisy. We walked along this long corridor, and I was just focusing on finding Bryan. I also have to tell you that after we got in the demonic underworld, I was completely gone for a moment. And I had to do 3 attempts to get this done. So I spent like 3 times as much time as I should have normally. This was a difficult case. Just getting there was really, really difficult, and staying conscious. Then, we went down the hallway, looking at all these cells, looking for Bryan. And I was repeating his name like a mantra, Bryan Napoleon Williams, make sure that I'm being drawn to the right person. And then we had him, and also Hecate stopped and indicated, here it is, and I looked, and inside the cell I saw Bryan, and he looked like on the picture that you had sent me, and he was kind of weakly saying help. And then coming forward, he's reaching with his arms towards us like help me, and came walking towards us a few steps, and then he couldn't walk any further. And then I saw that he was chained, but he was chained in a very cruel way, because there were 2 chains, and they ended with hooks like at a butcher's shop, and these had been pushed through the skin on his back and shoulders and kept him on the wall like that. And then Hecate waved her hand, and the door lock sprung open. We got inside the holding cell, and then Hecate said that she was going to hold Bryan, and I should quickly remove these hooks from his flesh. And then we gave him something to bite on, and Hecate said that if he screams, we won't be able to make it out of there. And well, Hecate can, but not maybe me and him. And then he said he understood, and he nodded. And then I started to remove these 2 hooks, first on his right shoulder and then the one on his left shoulder. I saw that he was sweating, and he was struggling hard not to scream, but he knew that it was important that we get out of there, and I managed to remove them in a very smooth way, so that he had not so much pain. And then after that, he collapsed on the ground, and Hecate lifted him up again and said, "We have to leave immediately." And we got out of the cell, and she closed the door up so it wasn't so obvious. And then I said, "Can we teleport back to the healing temple now?" And Hecate said they had put up some magic, so it's impossible to teleport from this place. And we had to go back along all the cells, and I was just thinking, I hope that nobody's coming. I hope nobody's coming at this moment. Got back to the front of the corridor where we came from, and back into that little side chamber that we had backed into earlier on. And over there we checked, and the magic that was barring us from teleporting did not apply to that room. So we were able to teleport out of there and back into the healing temple. Then when we were in my healing temple, that's when Hecate opened the portal for Bryan to move into the afterlife. But before he went through the portal, we had a conversation, and I asked him whether there was anything he wanted to say to you. And he said, "Thank you for saving me, sis." And then he said, "I love you." And then he said that, "I know that what I did was wrong, and I'm sorry. And I know that I have caused a lot of pain to other people, and I'm sorry about that." And he said, "I'm sorry that I cannot accompany you anymore, because I would like to stay with you in this life, but it's not possible anymore now." And he said, "And if this happened again, I wouldn't do this again. I regret that I've committed suicide, and I wish I hadn't done it, but it's too late now." And then I asked Hecate, "Can you tell me, for the sake of Raven, where he's going to go? Will he go to a good place?" And Hecate said, "Yes, the portal will lead him to a good place, a place of light and bright, and there's no suffering. And there he's going to be prepared for his next incarnation." And then Hecate said, "And tell Raven not to worry, because Bryan and her will be together in another lifetime. And so the bond that is between you, the bond of love, is always going to be there, even in future lifetimes." And then Bryan, hearing that, was very happy. He nodded, and he said that he will be better next time around. And I said, "I hope so." And then Hecate told him to step into the portal, and then the portal closed.